Testing. Test 1, 2. Okay, everyone, let's start the what if. What if Yamcha were the Kaioken? Let me set the scene for you. Yamcha stood triumphantly over the Cybermen. This time, however, he felt a lot more pride. He didn't quite know why, just that moment, but he did. He felt really proud. He turned to Vegeta and Nappa with a triumphant smirk. Nappa was surprised the Cyberman was beaten so easily, but overall was unfazed. However, the Cyberman then jumped and latched onto Yamcha. Yamcha was shocked, and could not react in time as the Cyberman exploded. As Yamcha looked around, he now realized he was in the afterlife. Yamcha was in distress over this. Yamcha started to move to the check-in station along with the line. On his way, he started to think to himself, why was I beaten? Did I just let my guard down? Or, he had trained for this for an entire year, only to be beaten by a cheap shot. But something didn't feel quite right. Even if it really was a cheap shot, and even if it really was a draw, he didn't feel like it. He felt like he just outright lost. And he wanted to know why. He had been the first one to be beaten in every tournament he fought in. The 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd. Was it just bad luck, or was there something more? He tried to brush this aside, said it was fine. If I train this time, I'm sure I'll at least be able to. That's it. Those words stood out to him. Then it hit him. Every time he had trained, every time he was beaten, he always said, it's okay. Next time, I'll at least beat the first guy in the tournament, I'm sure. Or, I'll at least try to last a little longer. The Cyberman is a makeshift tournament, so when Yamcha had beaten him, he felt like he had achieved his goal for the most part. Until it was snatched away. He realized that his victory was stolen not by the Cybermen, or by the Saiyans even, but by two words. At least. Yamcha was always aiming too low. It was never, I'll win the next tournament. It was, I'll at least beat the first guy. It was never, I'll save the day. It was, I'll at least buy some time. However, his thoughts were interrupted when he reached King Yama. Well, okay, Yamcha. Thanks to your efforts against the Saiyan assault on Earth, you have earned the right to train with King Kai. Congratulations. Yamcha asked King Kai, who's that? King Yama nodded. Oh yeah, that guy? He's the same guy who trained Goku to fight the Saiyans. Yamcha was ecstatic. He could train while he was dead even? Not to mention while he was dead he didn't need to eat or sleep nearly as much as far as he knew. If at all. How do I get to King Kai's? King Yama pointed behind him. Run along Snake Way. It's a rather long journey, but you'll get there eventually. Yamcha nodded. Thanks. Oh, one more question. How long did it take Goku to reach King Kai's? King Yama said, I'd say about 6 months. Around that time is when King Kai confirmed to me that Goku had made it and gotten there rather safely. Yamcha nodded. He knew his time to beat. Yamcha would not settle for any more at leasts. This time, he would beat Goku. He was aiming for the top. He flew off at top speeds, not stopping unless he absolutely had to. Yamcha even ran past Goku and was stunned. He felt Goku's ki. It was way larger than Nappa's. Almost on the same level as Vegeta's as far as he felt and could remember. They shared nothing but a glance, but that glance was all Yamcha needed to see the massive gap between the two. Soon after this, Tien, Chaozu, and Piccolo died and joined Yamcha. With Piccolo flying ahead of them, pretty much, he didn't want to stay behind. They all just sort of grouped together. If they tried to race, none of them would really get much farther than the other anyway, and it would just waste energy. However, Yamcha stopped and saw a house. Princess Snake's castle, to be exact. He thought King Kai might be in there instead of at the end of the road itself. It never was stated that he needed to reach the end of it specifically, and hey, it wouldn't hurt to look around. Better safe than sorry, as far as he was concerned. Yamcha, Tien, and Chaozu all jumped inside. Princess Snake was surprised. Never before had she gotten so many visitors all at the same time. However, one look at Yamcha left her pretty much love-struck. Yamcha was quite the looker after all. In that department, most times he outclassed Goku. Even Chi-Chi said she would marry Yamcha had she not already been in love with Goku. She wanted Yamcha to stay, but He was not having it. After learning King Kai was nowhere to be seen, he wanted to head off, stating that, "I can't be wasting time. I have to train at King Kai's as soon as possible." Princess Snake then decided to pull something out of her drawer. "Then take this. A little something you might remember me by, and remember to come and visit me the next time you die." It was a large, scaly outfit. It can absorb ki and add to your own reserves. Really useful if you ask me. I thought about giving it to Goku, but I like you quite a bit more. Yamcha blushed and stammered a little bit before grabbing the outfit and putting it under his gi. Privately. "Thanks, Princess Snake." He then left and wondered how Bulma might feel about him accepting gifts from other women, even if he was dead. For now, though, those thoughts were put aside. You need to get to King Kai's. Tien had noticed Yamcha's determination and was rather impressed. It took him about a month to get to King Kai's, and by that time Goku had already gotten well on his way to Namek, and was training harder than ever before in preparation for his fight with someone called Frieza. King Kai tested everyone by having them make him laugh. This went mostly as canon. "Wait, King Kai, didn't Goku have weighted clothing on during your training? Like he did during the tournament?" King Kai nodded. "Oh yeah, why do you ask?" Yamcha said, "Can you make me some weighted clothing as well? And even make it heavier than Goku's?" King Kai was impressed by Yamcha's enthusiasm. "Oh, sure thing, I can. Hold still." He held his arm out and made Yamcha a set of weighted clothing, twice as heavy as Goku's. Yamcha plunged to the ground. King Kai almost lightened the weights, but after adjusting a bit, Yamcha was able to stand, but not easily. Tien, quite frankly, was impressed at Yamcha's strength and a little inspired. Tien had respected Yamcha as a fighter, all well and good, especially after his first fight with him, but never thought of him as someone to look up to, someone that could be inspiring. However, that didn't stop Tien from asking King Kai for the same treatment. He got weights just as heavy as Yamcha's. "What do you think those weights will do? You really think you could get to my level, let alone Goku's, just by copying our training exercise?" He kept these thoughts to himself, however. He wasn't really in a talking mood. Meanwhile, events progressed mainly as in canon on Namek, until eventually Piccolo was wished back to life. Yamcha and Tien took a break from their training to listen to what was happening on Namek. Yamcha seemed rather hurt and a little discouraged that Piccolo had somehow jumped massively in power just by doing fusing. He was like, What? He can do that? Yamcha was impressed with Goku's use of the Kaioken later on. I was like, wow, so that's the Kaioken, huh? Amazing. Maybe I should learn it. No, I should definitely learn it. While they were holding on to him, it didn't really surprise them all that much when Goku resorted to the Spirit Bomb. However, when that didn't work, everyone was stunned. Tien, however, was really impressed with the Spirit Bomb while Goku was charging it up and using it. He felt it suited him a lot more than the Kaioken ever would. If he tried to combine it with his Tri-Beam, he might die. Okay, and that's no joke. But something happened when Goku turned Super Saiyan. Yamcha was furious at himself and at how unfair the world seemed. Goku had just gotten leaps and bounds stronger than Yamcha ever could. While Yamcha on King Kai's couldn't exactly feel Goku's power directly, he could tell how powerful he was. He didn't even train for the form, it was just Super Saiyan biology and Zenkai's. King Kai could feel this. In fact, you didn't need to be a Kai to tell what Yamcha was thinking at that moment. Yamcha said to himself, "Damn it! Why is it that when I make the slightest bit of progress, everyone jumps ahead of me tenfold? First Piccolo and now Goku. It's unfair." But he knew there was nothing much he could do about it. He still wanted to, though. He still felt like he could if he just tried hard enough. Feeling what Yamcha was feeling and hearing his thoughts, he decided maybe Yamcha did have what it takes. Maybe Yamcha could learn the Kaioken. And like that, King Kai promised himself he would teach Yamcha the Kaioken. After the events of Namek passed, King Kai decided to teach Yamcha the Kaioken and Tien the Spirit Bomb. While he was at it, he might even teach Chaozu a thing or two about telepathic communication. He was a little weird guy, but he did have some psychic abilities. So after training for a bit longer and managing to catch bubbles, because remember they were wearing weighted clothing. It took them a lot longer to catch bubbles than it would have in canon. King Kai decided to move on to the next test, and after this he would get on to teaching them the Kaioken and Spirit Bomb for Tien. It took them just a week to finally hit Gregory, and when Yamcha did, he felt accomplished. Tien did as well. It was really hard getting to that point, especially with the weights. In fact, they told King Kai to increase the weight of the hammers they were using, just to make sure they were heavier than the ones Goku was using. King Kai was impressed. Despite all these drawbacks, they seemed to hit Gregory pretty fast. Wow, you guys did it that fast? Not bad. Yamcha asked, "So, King Kai, can I learn the Kaioken now? Come on! I've been waiting for this for a while." King Kai looked at Yamcha and scratched his chin. Not quite yet. Goku was a natural at ki and muscle control. You, not so much. You need a little extra push to get you ready for the Kaioken. Yamcha understood and said, "Well, whatever it takes. I gotta learn this technique." It was the only way in his mind that you could ever catch up to Goku. Tien assumed the same training would be done for him, but instead, King Kai told him, "Oh no, I have a different type of training for you." King Kai got Yamcha's training set up. "Okay, first we need to improve your muscle control." He made a metal pole and told Yamcha to stand on it with one foot, after he stabbed it into the ground. And then he made Yamcha's weighted clothing a bit lopsided. One side was heavier than the other. Yamcha found it difficult to balance on this pole, especially with the lopsided weights. King Kai then made a very long pole that stretched across his planet and asked for Yamcha to hold it. He couldn't hold it just anywhere, however, there were two specific red lines Yamcha had to keep his hands on. And the way they were positioned, his hands were almost touching each other. This would ensure that the pole was extremely difficult to maneuver and put a lot of extra weight on his wrists and the smaller muscles he didn't often use. He then got a board with a small hole exactly the same size as the pole Yamcha was using, and said that when he could fit the pole into this hole, he was probably ready for the next step. Then he moved on to Tien. The Spirit Bomb uses a special kind of ki called Spirit Energy, or Life Energy. Seeing as your Tri-Beam uses the same type of ki, Tien, it should be easier for you to learn the Spirit Bomb. But I need to see exactly where you're at. Show me your Tri-Beam. Tien did as he asked, popped his knuckles, and then readied up the Tri-Beam before firing it. Not quite at full power, but just enough to give King Kai the scope of what he normally does when he uses it. King Kai sighed. "Is that what you do? Well, no wonder you die. Here, let me tell you something you need to know before anything else." King Kai explained the basics of how to extract spirit energy more safely and more controlled. Afterwards, he went and grabbed some yellow clouds from outside of his planet. This is Heaven's Mist. It's riddled with spirit energy. If you extract spirit energy from it properly, it should disappear like this. The cloud slowly disappeared as if fading into the background. And afterwards, King Kai was left with a small blue ball of energy in his hand which he absorbed. If you can do that to a much larger cloud, you can use the Spirit Bomb. Do it wrong and the cloud will shrink or sort of scatter instead of disperse. Understand? If you can learn to do this properly with larger clouds, then not only will you be able to use the Spirit Bomb, your Tri-Beam will be far less draining and dangerous. Anyway, I think this is going to be a long video. I know I spoke rather fast, but I did pause quite a bit. And I'm almost dead anyway. Goodbye everyone, and good luck with tomorrow and every day after. This is going to be such a good first video, I just know it.